White Claw Summer, baby.
White Cloud Day, it's a White Cloud Day.
See, even Waka fucks with the claws.
I've been drinking red boy.
What's up, guys? It's Jason here, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Happy Hour Insight. Envision your stereotypical millennials dressed fashionably in Lululemon or J. Crew. They might work professional jobs and attend your local bar class and shop almost exclusively at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or any other shop filled with organic and free trade labels. When those millennials want to unwind after typing the day away, there's a good chance they will choose the hard seltzer that spawned memes, disdain, and a lot of money for its manufacturer, the Mark Anthony Brands International, you guessed it, White Claw. You may not remember the name, but you've likely seen the slim can, typically 16-ounce with White Claw in bold Futura-like font and hard seltzer incorporated into its logo. White Claw comes in flavors ranging from the tropical, like mango and pineapple, to the more classic flavors of lemon and natural lime. In fact, you might even see the White Claw hard seltzer iced tea as well. Either way, you've probably been seeing White Claw more and more often, not only at hipster venues, but 7-Eleven as well. So, what happened to White Claw? How did White Claw get so big? How has hard seltzer become almost synonymous with White Claw? Today we'll answer those questions and many more. But before we begin, if you wouldn't mind just tapping that like button for the YouTube algorithm, I would really appreciate it. The more engagement a video like this gets, the more likely the YouTube algorithm is to push it out for more people to enjoy. And as this is a brand new YouTube channel I started this year, I appreciate it 1,000-fold. In fact, I also respond to all comments and feedback. If you'd love to enjoy a great drink, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for new videos each week. Thanks for doing that, and now let's continue on with what's going on with White Claw. The rise of hard seltzer for the health conscious. To understand the rise of White Claw, we first need to understand what hard seltzer is. Fundamentally, it's a drink that is often marketed as the healthy alcoholic beverage of choice because it has less calories and alcohol than beer and is typically fruit-flavored, much like seltzer waters. In fact, hard seltzer is essentially sparkling water with fruit essence, which is then made alcoholic once either malted barley or fermented sugarcane is added. In terms of alcohol content, hard seltzers usually have 5 to 6% ABV or alcohol by volume, surprisingly similar to beer's ABV range of 4 to 7%. The key to the marketing of hard seltzer as the healthier option is that it often has a lower ABV than non-canned mixed drinks. Hard seltzer has been around since roughly 2013, when the original hard seltzer, called spiked seltzer, hit the shelves and almost immediately gave way to countless competitors. Since spiked seltzer, now known as Bon and Vive spiked seltzer, a Nielsen survey has shown that year over year, hard seltzer sales have spiked 193%. Wow! That's huge! Surveyed customers listed hard seltzers as being attractive primarily because they're canned, ready to consume on the go, and their relative healthiness. The founder of White Claw, Canadian Anthony Van Mandel, is actually a longtime veteran in the wine and spirits industry and decided to delve into the world of hard seltzer after he saw an opportunity to expand his lineup of ready-to-drink beverages, such as Mike's Hard Lemonade, a flavored malt beverage of natural flavors and carbonated water. White Claw's background and beginnings. Anthony Van Mandel's company is Mark Anthony Wine and Spirits. In 2016, he launched White Claw as a natural extension of Mike's Hard Lemonade, famous for its sweet taste. Van Mandel already had a massive success with Mike's Hard Lemonade, as it sold 2 million cases in its first year in the US in 1999. In its home country of Canada, when it was introduced in 1996, shortages of the hard lemonade sparked fights in the liquor stores. Even 2 decades from its introduction, it still does about $1.6 billion in sales. In a 2006 interview, Van Mandel made a key observation about an opportunity in the alcohol market because 25% of guys didn't particularly want to drink beer, but couldn't be seen holding anything else in their hand. As an entrepreneur, Van Mandel offered a cool alternative to beer through Mike's Hard Lemonade. On the same premise of having more options than Corona and Budweiser, after the release of Connecticut-made spiked seltzer, Van Mandel introduced White Claws sans the sweetness of Mike's Hard Lemonade and with fewer calories to appeal especially to female drinkers as well. Danelle Cosmal, the vice president of Nielsen's alcohol division, confirmed as much by stating, "Hard seltzer drinkers tend to be younger, have higher incomes, and skew more female than traditional beer drinkers." With the popularity of White Claws, it's as if Van Mandel not only tapped into that desire for a healthier alternative, but also strengthened that desire among millennials. For cold, hard numbers, in 2018, White Claw did $154.8 million in sales of Mark Anthony wine and spirits totals $746 million in sales. The next year, White Claw sales quadrupled to $627.2 million, while Mark Anthony wine and spirits sales totaled $1.3 billion. Since its debut in 2016, White Claw has also slowly and steadily increased its hard seltzer market share in the USA. While Bon & Viv Spiked Seltzer claims to be the first hard seltzer to hit the American market, in 2016 it had 17% market share in comparison to White Claw's 37%. By 2017, White Claw's market share was 40% in comparison to Bon & Viv Spiked Seltzer's 15%. In 2018, White Claw's market share continued to grow at 46% to Bon & Viv Spiked Seltzer's 13%, with White Claw dominating at 58% in 2019, and Bon & Viv Sparked Seltzer having dropped to 6%. The lesson of the story in this case, being first to market doesn't guarantee having consumers who are loyal to your brand.
I brought White Claws. You think I need girls at my pool party? Nah, I got White Claws.
Unlike the loyal community we have here at Company Insight, can I get an amen in the chat? You guys are the best! Shout out to you, my loyal community! Ahem. Rather, continuing being innovative and releasing new products with strong branding seems to pay off. For instance, in March 2020, the company introduced 3 flavors in addition to its 6, as well as offering customers a 12-can variety pack to showcase the range of flavors. It was a smart move, as Nielsen reports that variety packs are hard seltzer's best sellers, regardless of the specific brand. They account for about 63% of hard seltzer sales. So what's the most popular White Claw seltzer? It's definitely, wait for it, mango! What's your favorite flavor if you've tried it?
White Claw Waterfall, baby. Tastes just like the glaciers.
Marketing and audience. White Claw's market presence also translated into pop culture, with the brand serving as inspiration for YouTuber Trevor Wallace to comically mock the brand's appeal to finance and tech bros and aspiring finance and tech bros. Having been viewed about 5.8 million times since its 2019 posting, the video has spawned countless memes that allude to White Claw's cult following among upper-class millennials who probably pride themselves on wearing Allbirds shoes and loving avocado toast. Wallace's declaration that there ain't no laws when you're drinking claws is probably synonymous with the brand among social media-obsessed millennials.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws, baby.
Unlike many of its other competitors, part of White Claw's appeal may be its millennial and health-conscious marketing, which isn't woman-focused. Traditional alcohol marketing historically has shown manly men drinking beer and feminine women drinking wine, and more recently, sangria and rose. Even White Claw's predecessor, Bon & Viv, has relied on more feminine-appealing mermaids on its cans that target female drinkers. In comparison, the gender-neutral marketing of White Claw has instead focused on its health appeal and as being part of an active lifestyle maintained by fit men and women. Their video ads say it all: lean guys and girls jumping off a sailboat to enjoy the refreshing ocean, comparable to the refreshing and low-carb 100-calorie taste of a can of White Claw. In case anyone thinks that the gender-neutral marketing was anything but intentional, their VP for marketing emphasized that since its launch in 2016, the marketing focused on group hangouts common among millennials. Sanjeev Gajiwala, VP of marketing, described White Claw ads as being true to life since it wasn't a world where guys got together in a basement and drank beer and women were off doing something else, drinking with their girlfriends. It makes perfect sense because a Bank of America survey confirmed that hard seltzer drinkers are split pretty much 50-50 among women and men, while traditional beer drinkers are actually more than 2 times more likely to be men than women.
A lot of that's been choiceful for us. You don't just hang out with guys, you don't just hang out with girls, you hang out with everybody.
Either way, hard seltzer is catching up quickly to its competitors, given that it already accounts for 5% of the beer market. Just as important as its own marketing, White Claw really took off because of its social media appeal. In 2019, the hashtag White Claw Summer was trending. It almost always entailed a by-the-pool selfie or a selfie on a sailboat or other scenic backdrop that screamed upper middle-class YOLO-embracing millennial. In addition to White Claw's social media, word-of-mouth branding also played into the millennial obsession with Instagram and giving the impression of leading a healthy and fun lifestyle that smells of money. That social media organic buzz allowed White Claw to not really dedicate resources to its paid social until this year. The company even reportedly pulled back its advertising spending by as much as 30% with the rise of user-generated content that promoted a White Claw lifestyle. According to White Claw, fans' content led to more than 4 billion brand impressions and boasts 46 times more social media mentions than its hard seltzer competitors. In addition, during the same period that White Claw cut down its spending, ad spending for other hard seltzer brands increased by about 21%. White Claw only ranked number 3 behind its 2 lesser-known and less profitable competitors, Corona Refresca and Angry Orchard. White Claw's impact and future. White Claw's undeniable success has made small artisanal brewers and industry giants alike realize the potential of hard seltzer and the money to be made. If we want to be more precise, in 2019, the global hard seltzer market is valued at around $4.4 billion, while in 2027, it's expected to be worth around $14.5 billion. Hey, you, watching this in the future, if it's 2027, let us know. Did it happen? Do we have flying cars yet? Has Elon Musk created a society on Mars yet? AB InBev, for instance, significantly promoted its hard seltzers during the last Super Bowl, which is an important development for ad spots typically reserved for hearty beers. Molson Coors also launched its own hard seltzer, Coors Seltzer, around the same time as the Super Bowl ad, attempting to craft a niche audience around its environmentalism. It should be expected considering that White Claw in 2019 claims it outsold Budweiser. With many competitors hot on White Claw's heels, the company is investing approximately $250 million in production facilities in Arizona and another $385 million into facilities in New Jersey. The main objective is to prevent shortages, keeping up with the growing demand for White Claw since its VP of marketing claims that its own data shows once a consumer buys a can of its seltzer, 1 in 3 people will buy it again. Such data likely played a factor in White Claw's expansion into the UK, Netherlands, Ireland, and Germany. Its success was not limited to the US, as it holds the title of being the best-selling hard seltzer in the UK, Netherlands, and Ireland, while about 1 million cans sold in its first week in Australia after first launching in the fall of 2020. White Claw also seeks to double down on its core audience of 21 to 29-year-olds who drink socially. The company is also preparing 18 and 24 packs and has released a harder hard seltzer called White Claw Surge with 8% alcohol. Appealing to more hardcore drinkers among its audience, the stronger beverage nonetheless prominently advertises that it's made pure and gluten-free. Possibly in a nod to its founder's early success with Mike's Lemonade, White Claw has released a hard seltzer iced tea that essentially mixes sustainably sourced tea with hard seltzer. As White Claw advertising has started to ramp up as vaccination rates across the world are likewise ramping up, it's setting the stage for the company to be prepared to enter bars and venues in a big way. And that brings us to today. With White Claw the most popular hard seltzer in 35 of 50 surveyed states, especially on the East and West Coasts, it's safe to say that White Claw and the hard seltzer industry is here to stay. Fascinatingly, White Claw is also the most Googled hard seltzer brand in the US. What does this all add up to? It's a sign that the hard seltzer industry cannot be dismissed as the next big fad, comparable to Zima, a one-hit wonder lightly carbonated drink that was discontinued in 2008 with limited releases only in 2017 and 2018. Just as importantly, it's a sign that the growth of White Claw will only strengthen the hard seltzer industry. While it has the advantages of being the dominant player in the industry, if it doesn't want to become a Zima, it will have to prove itself again and again with finicky millennials and beyond. So with that said, thank you so much for watching my video. There was a significant amount of research and production that went into making this video possible. As this is a brand new YouTube channel I just started this year, if you enjoy videos like this, please click the subscribe button and hit that notification bell. I respond to all comments. If you haven't seen already, check out my video on the rise of Coinbase or the rise and fall of American education. As always, stay happy and healthy and stay tuned for another episode of Company Insight next week.